In this video, we're going to go over just the basics of the quadratic equation. And most of these things are things that you all probably already know, but some of you are still struggling with a little bit of it. So first of all, the standard form of the quadratic equation is y equals a times x squared plus bx plus c. And there's another video on how to identify the a, b, and c values. You should probably watch that if you are struggling with that. The parabola is the shape of this graph. We just refer to that arch as a parabola. The vertex is the maximum or minimum point of the parabola. And this is the first equation that you've studied so far in Algebra 2 that has a true maximum or a minimum. So if you're asked about a maximum or minimum value in a word problem, that's a big tip-off that you are working with a quadratic equation. You can see that this graph here on the right, it opens downward, so it has a maximum value, and it's right up there. Related to the vertex is the axis of symmetry. It is a vertical line that cuts right through the middle of the parabola. If you were to take this parabola and fold it in half across this vertical line, it would match perfectly. And like all vertical lines, the equation for this line is going to be x equals something. And in this case, let's just say that our x value here is 2.5. Then that means that our equation for the axis of symmetry is x equals 2.5. This x value for the axis of symmetry is also the x value for the vertex. And we know this because the axis of symmetry cuts right through the vertex. Your vertex will be an x, comma, y format. It will be given as a point. The axis of symmetry will be given as x equals something. So let's bring back the standard form quadratic equation so that we can have another look at it. Next, we're going to talk about the y and x intercepts, starting with the y-intercept. So the big thing to remember about the y-intercept is that it's where the graph crosses the y-axis. And we can see on our graph approximately where that is here. So in order for your point to be on the y-axis, your x value must be 0. And the very last thing that we'll say about the y-intercept in this video is that it's equal to the c value in your quadratic equation. What that means is that since x is always 0 at the y-intercept, your y-intercept will just be 0, comma, c. Every single time. The very last thing that we'll talk about in this video is the x-intercepts. And these are important because we're going to spend a lot of time finding them. We also refer to these as the solutions, the roots, and the zeros. Graphically, your x-intercepts are right here. Your x-intercepts are where the graph crosses the x-axis. At the x-axis, y equals 0. There could be 2, 1, or no intercepts. As you can see in this graph we have on the right, there are 2 intercepts, or 2 possible solutions to this quadratic equation. But your graph may just barely touch the x-axis. In that case, you might only have 1 x-intercept. But if your graph does not touch the x-axis at all, then you have no solutions, no roots, no zeros, and no x-intercept. They all mean the same thing. Final note, even though you can have 2, 1, or no x-intercepts, you can only ever have 1 y-intercept. And the reason why is something that you learned in Algebra 1, when you learned the definition of a function. Do you know why?